Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 6 selections for tomorrow's racing. Now before we get into them, quickly just want to apologise on an abysmal day today. It wasn't a great day. My nap of the day was the late legend in the Devon National at Exeter, and you have to say it was a bit of a weird one because he was destroyed in the betting literally before the off. He was around about 11 to 1. He'd been holding his prize for most of the day, but then he was sent off around about 5 to 1 co-favourite in the end. A lot of money went on him just before the off, but in the end, I just think running too prominently probably paid to his chances. It was a real slogger Exeter today. You didn't see too many horses being at the front last in there at the end of the race. So yeah, maybe that's what ultimately went against him. And the other selection, Midnight Referendum, she ran a bit of a bizarre race. She was outpaced, but then she stayed on in the closing stages to take third, but the bird had already flown really, and the first two were always well clear of her. So yeah, disappointing last couple of days after what looked like a promising start to the week where we had a couple of winners on Tuesday. But yeah, hopefully we can get back in the winners enclosures tomorrow, and I've got 6 selections for you. I fancy quite a few of them, but before I get into them, make sure to check out the latest In the Saddle podcast, where I'll put links to it in the description box below. We've got all the major podcast platforms covered, including the likes of Spotify, Soundcloud, and Apple. So if you want to listen to them, make sure you hit one of the links in the description box below. And also as well, if you want to check out the Betfair Tipstar competition, I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. But let's get stuck into it then. 6 selections for tomorrow's racing, and we're going to be going to Lingfield for the first one of them, where we go to the listed Hever Stakes. And I quite like the chances here of Exalted Angel for Clifford Lee and Carl Burt, currently available with most firms at the moment at 11 to 4. I'm going to recommend a 1-point win bet here. Now this horse was a real eye catcher the last time we saw him, when he finished fifth, or he finished 6th in a listed race here a couple of weeks ago. He didn't get a clear run on that occasion, and when he did get a clear run, he was making up a lot of late ground. So I think you have to put a line through that run, and I think going back to 5 furlongs tomorrow might just be to his advantage. Now he's the best horse in the race on Racings, and he's going to be meeting a few of these horses on slightly better terms, particularly Tone the Barone, who he finished second behind at Wolverhampton a couple of starts ago, but he had to give him a few pounds that day because it was in a handicap. But this is off, they're going to be racing off levels tomorrow because this is a listed race, and I just thought he made quite a bit of appeal. He's a previous course winner, he's a very good sprinter, Exalted Angel, on the all-weather, and I just thought he might be able to get the rub of the green tomorrow, and he might be able to get a little bit of redemption for last time. So that's why he's going to be one of my extra tips of the day. We then have another extra tip for you, which runs in 150 at Kempton. It's the Adonis Hurdle, and I thought Impulsive one here was a big price for James Byrne and Nicky Henderson. Currently available at 11 to 2, and SkyBet actually offering an extra place there. They're paying 4 places, and 11 to 2 with 4 places looks a little bit too big for me. So that's why I'm going to recommend a 0.5 each way selection. Now this horse does have to reverse form with Night Salute from earlier on in the season, but I was really taken by the way Impulsive won last time out at Musselburgh. He absolutely hosed up, and he was going away from them in cruise control really in the closing stages. He was very impressive. Arguably probably didn't beat much there, but still nonetheless, it was a very impressive performance, and they left the hood off him. The last few runs before that, he'd had the hood on because he'd been a bit of a freaker, but he settled much better. And I think if they have got the key to him and he's learnt to settle, I think he's more than capable of reversing the form of Night Salute. Obviously, Night Salute's beaten the likes of Porticello, but there wasn't much between Impulsive 1, Porticello, and Night Salute when they ran in a Grade 2 juvenile contest at Doncaster back in December. We've not seen Night Salute for a little while. And I just wonder if Impulsive 1, he might be a little bit more streetwise now, and he might be able to save his energy a little bit better. And I think he's got solid credentials. Pleasant Man doesn't excite me too much. Paul Nicholls, okay, do have a good record in this race over the years, but the yard haven't been firing on all cylinders, and we've not even seen him jump hurdle yet. So hard to trust on that. For me, I think Impulsive 1 is a standout here, and that's why he's going to be one of my extra tips of the day. We then go to the 218 with another extra tip in there at Chepstow with a horse called Ballyandy for Finn Lambert, claiming 10. He's riding for Nigel Twist and Davis here. He's currently available at 10-3. I actually thought that was a little bit generous, and this horse potentially might have a little bit more to offer over 3 miles. Now, he's been a very consistent horse over the last few years. He's been running in the likes of champion hurdles, running over 2 miles, been holding his own. He's always been the each way horse in some of those races. But I just think going up to 3 miles now could see him be maybe a bit more of an effective horse over the trip. He probably just doesn't have the gears anymore. Look at the likes of Forheen. I'm not comparing Forheen to Ballyandy in the sense they're in the same field, but what I'm saying is that Forheen unlocked a bit more potential when he went up and tripped towards the latter stages of his career. And this could be maybe the case with Ballyandy. He won over 3 miles last time at Fakenham when he absolutely hosed up. Finn Lambert was aboard that day, and even though, yes, it was only a 4-runner race, they weren't no mugs in that race, and he dispatched them quite easily, and he was never really out of second gear. And I just think tomorrow he could just be the class act in this race, and the £10 as well is very appealing. And this isn't the greatest bunch in the world. Brinkley, yes, he looked like a progressive horse at one stage, but he's on a retrieval mission. David Pipe's team haven't been in the best of form. I quite like the chances of Ballyandy here, and that's why he's going to be my extra tip of the day. We then go to the 3 o'clock at Kempton, which is in the Dovecoats, my nap, and I think Aucunrisque here is the way to play for Tom Cannon and Chris Gordon. Currently available at 7-2. He was slightly bigger yesterday when I put him up on the In the Saddle podcast, but yeah, Aucunrisque here, I think he's a really exciting horse for Chris Gordon. I was very taken by the way he won last time out. He was a very promising bump horse earlier in the season. He ran and listed company at Cheltenham, and he didn't disgrace himself there when he made the frame. And then over hurdles, he's been just as effective, if not better. His win at Plumpton's worked out quite well, where he bumped into Mark of Gold, and Mark of Gold went on to win a couple of times since, so that form reads well. But I was really taken by the way he won at Wincanton last time, pulling away from his rivals. He just made a mockery of them, and he's beaten a few fair yardsticks in there. And the time was pretty decent as well. And I just think tomorrow in this race, he's been slightly underestimated. I just think the Gary Moore horse, yes, he won last time out at Sandown impressively, and he won his bump here last year. But for me, I just think he's been far too short in the betting, and Aucunrisque is a really solid proposition to take him on with. He actually has an entry in the county hurdle as well, Aucunrisque. So if he was to win this, then he could be a live outsider in that race, you have to say. Chris Gordon as well won this race a couple of years ago with Highway 102. Training I've got plenty of time for. He's been having a good season, and I just think Aucunrisque is ready to take the next step up. So that's why he's going to be my nap of the day. We then go to the 3:15 at Newcastle for the Ida Chase with my long shot with a horse here called Cash to Ash for Jamie Hamilton and Mark Wolford. Currently available at 16-1. You can get 6 places with quite a few firms. I'm going to recommend a 0.5 each way selection here. Now this horse has got a string of seconds next to his name, but he's been a very consistent horse. He's run in some decent races behind the likes of Big River, who's a very good horse for Lucinda Russell, and he finished second over 4 miles earlier on in the season in the Borders National, and also as well he ran a stormer behind City Ishmael in the Lincolnshire National at Market Raisin on Boxing Day. Now obviously this is a little bit more of a classier race. There's some useful types, however we know he's going to be ridden prominently, and I like horses that are normally ridden prominently in these big stay-in chases. The drawn out ground probably will be to his liking as well. He's won over the course before. He's got a nice low racing weight. We know he stays, and I just think he might be able to outrun his odds here, and he's been slightly overlooked in the market. And for me, I think he's definitely a good each way bet, and that's why he's going to be my long shot of the day if he runs anywhere near what he's been doing earlier in the season. So that's why he's going to be my long shot. We then go to the 3:37 at Kempton for the last and the next bet of the day with the big breakaway. I'm going to give him a chance here for Brendan Powell and Colin Tizard. Currently available at 8-1 with the likes of Betfair and Paddy Powell. I'm going to recommend a 0.5 each way selection here. Now I think this horse potentially has been set up for this race, and I thought his run last time out over hurdles when he finished third was a very good one behind the Brim and Water. I think he's actually probably a better chaser. He's not always been the most straightforward of horses, but he's definitely heading back in the right direction, I feel. Colin Tizard as well, his yard are going a lot better this season, and he reminds me again of a horse that won this race for him a couple of years ago called Mr. Malarkey, who was a bit of a head scratcher. But the big breakaway, he's got some really good form here over this course and distance. He finished second behind Chamblou here when he was officially rated £1 higher back in Boxing Day in 2020. So I do think he's got a good credentials. It's his second run after a wind up. The cheek pieces are back on. Pretty versatile ground wise. I know he's not maybe been the horse that we hoped that he might have been at one point in his career, but he's still only a 7-year-old. I think he's off a good mark. He brings a bit of class to the race when he's on his A game, and some of his form earlier from earlier in the season when he finished when he fell at Newton Abbott, but he was in the process of running a good race, conceding plenty of weight to the likes of Fuchsia Raffles. Ravenman's game, that reads pretty well, and I just think that this horse is going to be there or thereabouts tomorrow if he gets a clear round of jumping and he's a bit of a price at 8-1, so that's why he's going to be my next best of the day. So they're the selections then for tomorrow's racing. Let me know in the comments box below what you'll be backing tomorrow. If you're enjoying these videos, please remember to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe here to my YouTube channel at LuckyLoaders15. If you want to follow me on social media, you can do, where my handle on Twitter and Instagram is at LuckyLoaders15. And if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, my website is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please go responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners for you tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.